Hi. First of all, I do want to say that we are filming tonight, but it's going to be, your face is not going to be in it, and if by accident you get in it, we'll cut it out because, you know, it's privacy. It's privacy. I just want you to know that. Well, I'm really excited to see everyone here. I can't promise you you're going to meet your basher tonight, but you know, if you have low expectations, you can never be disappointed. And I'm hoping that there will be some more schmoozing time afterwards. And, you know, introduce yourself to anybody and network. Maybe the person you introduce yourself to knows somebody for you. You never know who you're going to meet, who you can network with, because you don't have to be a Shadchan to set people up. Anybody can set anybody up. Okay. The agenda tonight is, first I'm going to talk about Jewish dating. Then I'm going to talk about marriage, because that's the ultimate goal. And then I'm going to talk about first date tips. And if there's time left, I'm going to talk about the top 5 reasons why men don't call back women, and the top 5 reasons why women reject a second date with a guy, if we have time. But I really want to get to the question and answer part, because I'm hoping, what I really want is that you'll have questions for me, because that would be the most fun. Okay, so I used to teach Weight Watchers, and we used to have a saying at Weight Watchers: being overweight is hard. Dieting is hard. Maintaining is hard. Choose your hard. And I decided that dating is like dieting. Being single is hard. Meeting someone is hard. Dating, it's hard. Maintaining a relationship is hard. Choose your hard. Life is hard. Now let's take it though. Here, I'm starting really depressing, right? God, dieting, dating, everything's hard. Everything's hard. But if you take it a step further, where could you take it to? Dieting and dating.
Food.
What?
Dieting and dating, 2 Ds, double D.
Satisfaction of reaching a goal.
There you go. Getting somewhere good. Right? You get, if you really take it the whole way, you get what you really worked for and what you really wanted. So all good things come from hard work. Here tonight, actually, in sitting here is somebody who came to my talk last year, started working with me, and got engaged this year, and is going to get married. So, you know, if you do the work, you put in the work, and you do whatever it takes to get married, it can happen. It really can happen. So just like the dieter who gets there and maintains it, you can get there too. Just have to. First of all, for every one of you who had the guts to come tonight, because it wasn't easy, it was hard, there are 3 people sitting at home who saw the flyer and didn't come. So you should give yourself a pat on the back and say, I stepped out of my comfort zone and I came. And that's a good thing. It might not be the night you meet somebody. Again, low expectations, can't be disappointed. But, you know, you did something different to try to make something happen. And God's watching that, because God wants us to do our hishtadlus. It was in the Parsha today. I saw it. God was going to split the sea, right? But what did he have Moshe do?
Stop praying.
He had to lift his hand. Why did Moshe have to do that? Because Moshe had to do something. We have to do something to make something happen. So you guys all came. Okay. When you think about getting married, you have to think what your life's going to be like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. What does it look like? Have you thought about that? Where do you want to be 5 years, 10 years from now? If you paint a picture like that, then you can factor in the person that you want to have that with. But you have to have your own life first. Your own life has to be together. You have to know who you are, therefore you can figure out what you need. Because if you aren't kind of in love with yourself, like really liking yourself, it's hard for somebody else to come and like you. So you have to have kind of a good confidence about yourself to attract somebody to you. If you're really depressed about the whole dating scene, oh my God, I haven't met anybody yet, and you give off that vibes, like it's not going to draw somebody to you. But if you're living a life that's really full and you say, I have a good life, I just want to share it and build it with somebody else, that's the way to do it. You have to give off that positive, good energy to attract somebody with good energy. Okay. What's Jewish dating look like in the modern Orthodox world? First step? Anybody want to take a guess what the first step? Jewish dating?
The internet?
That's what one would think. Yeah. Has that worked for you?
It got me here.
There you go. Got you here. Okay, well, I would say that the first step is to pray, and to pray in detail. Somebody once went to a dating workshop, and they prayed for what they wanted. They got what they wanted, but they forgot to put in that the guy should be somewhat attractive. And this is not my words. I heard this on at the workshop. The guy looked like a monkey. So how could you even call a human being someone who looks like a monkey? But the wife said he looks like a monkey. She says, I prayed in detail, but I kind of forgot that part. So anyway, step number 1 is pray. And pray in detail. Don't say, just send me a good guy, because God's going to send you a lot of good guys, but they're not your guy. Send me my bashert. Send me the woman who's going to help fulfill my life. The right one, the one that you want for me. Pray specifically for what you want. Number 2, we, in the modern Orthodox world, we use something called a Shidduch profile. And I've had great success helping people write their Shidduch profile. It's like a resume for dating. Because you think you're living in your community and everybody knows you're single. And come on, Rabbi, set me up with somebody. But if you take the time to actually make a whole piece of paper with who you are, what you're looking for, and a self-description about you, you can actually take that piece of paper, give it to your rabbi, give it to your rebbitzin, give it to your friends, and say, hey, I'm looking, can you help me? Because anybody can be your matchmaker. So a Shidduch profile is just an easy way. I mean, do you really want to call up 15 people and say, hey, I'm looking for a match, and I want her to be like this, this, and that. Can you help me? And then you call the next person, and then you call a Shadchan, and then you call another Shadchan, and another Shadchan. You're exhausted. So if you put it all on paper, it's just efficient, and then you can use the internet to help it go somewhere. How many of you have a Shidduch resume? Not a few. Okay? You have one, Boris. Okay. Matchmakers. How many of you have ever used a matchmaker? Quite a few. About 50%, it looks like. Anybody want to share an experience? Good, bad, in between?
Well, I'd just say that what I've experienced is mostly through the Sayu at Sinai, and the matchmaker lives in New York. So
right.
There's no real opportunity for that person to get to know me, or for me to really be on their radar much.
Has your Sayu at Sinai matchmaker ever called you?
No.
Never.
It's always been my email.
Okay. I was a Sayu at Sinai matchmaker for about a week and a half. They want you to have 30 people minimum. And it's a great thing. It's where maybe 50%, I'm just guessing, a lot of modern Orthodox Jews meet via Sayu at Sinai. But it's a very difficult system because each matchmaker has to have 30 people minimum. How do you take care of 30 people that you've never even talked to? So I work a little bit different. In fact, that's the third step, matchmaker. That's what I was talking about. So I work different than other matchmakers. Some work like me. Some matchmakers charge $500 to let you in the door, or $2,500. I do charge for my time for interviewing someone, helping them write their resume, and doing the Shidduch search. Because there's tons of matchmakers in New York who are free until you make the match. Then they expect you to pay them. Kind of like real estate. I used to be a real estate agent too, so I see a lot of similarities between the whole dieting thing and the whole real estate thing. It's really, you get your bonus, right, when you get your commission when you make the match. I love making the match in real estate. I really love making the match, though, in matchmaking. So all these matchmakers that you call up and say, hey, here's my resume, can you help me find someone? They get thousands of calls. And they say, what do they say? This famous line, I'll keep you in mind. You'll hear that I'll keep you in mind. And they may look for you for a day or two, but then they've got the next 50 people who just called them. So my model is, if you invest in me, I invest in you. I take the time to get to know you. I call you. Oh, by the way, we have another matchmaker here. Shirley in the back.
Hi.
So we're going to have a Shidduch meeting in Seward Park in 2 or 3 weeks. And you can give a profile to either Shirley or myself, and we'll present you at the Shidduch meeting. Because, of course, not everybody's here today. We have a lot more men that came today than women, obviously. We have all different ages here, but when we have our Shidduch meeting, we're going to be a bunch of ladies sitting around a table, and we are going to present the people who are serious about getting married. So if you give us your information, we will present you, and we'll see if we can match you with someone who's maybe not here tonight. We're here for you. We were trying to do something for the singles in the Pacific Northwest because it's a lot easier to meet, locally. Shop locally first, that's my motto, if it's possible. And if it's not, then let's shop regionally, maybe California. And we have 2 people tonight here from Oregon, and we have a guy tonight from Olympia. Isn't that cool? And then you may have to date somebody in New York. It's just, worst comes to worst, you have to go to New York. I have made a regional match, and I have made a New York match. And I made a match in LA between 2 senior citizens. So sweet. So sweet. Okay. And then the 4th thing for Jewish dating. What is the 4th thing? Oh, yeah. So there's this concept in Judaism called Shomer Nagia.
What?
Being Shomer Nagia. So that means not touching the person you're dating. Anybody can see any advantage to that system? Yeah? Want to say anything about it?
I mean, from my experience, because when I first got married, I never heard of it before until the person I was dating said, I'm Shomer Nagia, or Shomer Nagia. And so I couldn't appreciate it until after we got married. And it made marriage that much more special. It also prepared for family priority laws where there's a separation anyway during marriage. So for me, there was a lot of value in it.
Right. I want one more thing. Possibility of being Shomer Nagia. What would be the advantage?
You can focus on something more important.
Yeah, you get to know the person. You get to know what's really important. It's just, I'm just putting it out there. I'm not telling you what to do. And please, everything I tell you tonight, I just want to say everything I say is a suggestion. I am not the mommy. I'm not the one who's telling you what to do. I am just here tonight to give you ideas. And hopefully, I'm only successful tonight if you walk away with at least one idea you can put into action or one thought you can take home with you. But my idea is not to insult anyone. My idea is not to tell you, my goal is not to tell you what to do. My goal is just to get you thinking, maybe to move out a little bit from your comfort zone and consider being Shomer Nagia. Consider dating someone and not touching them because you get to know the person mentally first. You really get, if you run out of things to talk about, then maybe it's not your match. Just something to consider. Okay. All right. So, in order to date the right person, and you have this Shidduch profile that tells about yourself, just like an online dating profile. Let me say something about that for a minute. You should take your online profile. If it's working for you, or your Shidduch resume is working for you, great. If you're getting the kind of matches that you're interested in, great. If you're not, show it to somebody. Maybe there's something that you could do to fix it up. Like, I had one guy write in his profile, I have a charming personality. I said, no, you can't write, I've seen people write, I'm handsome. Okay, you know what? We'll decide that. Let the person look at your picture and decide. You're handsome, you're charming. Just have somebody look over your profile, because you just might have some weird things in it that you don't think are weird, but other people might think could be a little bit more enticing. And that's the idea of the Shidduch profile, of your dating resume, is to get the first date. That's all it's for. To get that first date. So how do you make it just give enough information, not too much information, to entice somebody? And we call that the paper test. So he has a Shidduch profile, she has one. You look at them, you say, okay, it looks like they pass the paper test. They have enough in common to meet for the coffee date. Because it gets really discouraging to go out with people who they're not on your religious level, or they're not even close to your religious level, or they just have different values than you. Because that's what you're really trying to match, is somebody with your values. It's not somebody who loves to go skiing because you love to go skiing. That's not what you're looking for. You're looking for someone who has the same values that you have. Okay, clarity. Also, what you want to know before you start going out with someone is what you have to give to the marriage. And I just picked up a new client. She's a 30-year-old gal in California. And I sent her my Shidduch questionnaire. And I just want to read you what she wrote, because it is so beautiful. I thought she was a very emotionally intelligent woman. Anybody wants to meet a 30-year-old in California? Nice lady. Listen to this. I said, what gifts will you bring to your spouse, to your marriage? In what ways might you be a giver? She wrote, love and compassion, positive energy, sense of adventure. Listen to this. Ability to understand his needs and wants, and catering to them. Time, participate in activities that he enjoys, which I may not care for. What an advanced woman. I thought, gosh, I didn't know this stuff till I was married 30 years. She's really on the ball. And she said, thoughtful, creative gifts. I mean, you have to think about, what do I bring to the marriage? Not just what do I want, what do I have to give? Because that's what's going to make your marriage so exciting. All right. Let's say you have, okay, how do you know what you want? Has anybody ever made a list of everything that they wanted in a spouse? Okay. How many did you come up with?
What I found out was I had a list of 12 things. I met somebody who matched a lot of them, and it still wasn't the right fit, because whatever I put on paper, there's something I can't define that tells me how well we click together.
Okay. So the gal who wrote, I agree. So you can have a list and you still don't click. Clicking still matters. But at least you had something in mind to look at, to think about when you dated that person. So it's good. You're halfway there, right? So I talked about this book last year. I love this book. I want everybody in this room to read this book. You read it? What did you think of it?
I thought it was outstanding, with the exception of the fact that it hasn't worked for her. I felt bad.
But I thought it was an incredible book.
Right.
And
So
I think
it's
every woman should read it.
every woman should read it. I think every man
Much
should
better
read
than
it
we.
too.
I loved it.
It's first of all, it's hilarious and it's sad because it's a woman who gets to be 41 years old. She's never been married. She is so picky. I mean, when we talk picky, she's nuts, like picky. Like, she did not, it's called Marry Him, The Case for Settling for Mr. Goodenough. It's such a good read. You can tell I like this book. I was reading it over Shabbos today, and I said, this is just the best book. Because women in their 20s, she said, oh, what did she say? Women in their 20s, they're looking for crazy things, and they have such a list, and then they end up, and they're marketable when they're in their 20s. And then they get to be in their 30s. And all of a sudden, the guys have all the leverage. They have all the power, and they're not so in demand anymore. And then they get to be 40, and nobody's looking at them. She ends up having a child by herself because she can't wait any longer to get married. But it's her adventures and meeting matchmakers and doing the online stuff and meeting with Marc Katz, the guy. Have any of you ever heard Marc Katz online? He's a dating coach for strong, successful women. That's his thing. But he has great videos on the whole dating scene. He was a serial dater. He dated 300 women online. And he became a dating coach. He became a dating coach.
Is he married now?
Yes. I do recommend his TED Talk, Marc Katz. It's amazing. So, just one. I wanted to read one thing from this book, from Marry Him. She was talking to somebody, to the lady who wrote the other book that I recommended in my last talk, How to Get Married After Age 35, which was written by a lady named Greenwald. Forgot her first name. So she's interviewing Greenwald, and Greenwald said, she laughed at this because she'd been there. She got married when she was 28. She said back in business school, she'd spoken to her husband on the phone in a professional context and enjoyed those conversations. But once she looked up his photo in a directory and wasn't impressed, how many of you guys have done that? Google a potential match, see them online and say, Kinda?
Not exactly, but
Yeah. Okay, the rest of the people aren't raising their hand, but I assume some of you have done that. Okay, thank you, Yoni, for being brave here. Okay, she ruled him out as a romantic prospect. She liked talking to him on the phone, but then she looked at his pictures. She's in her 20s, remember. It was only on meeting him at a party and getting to know him that she started to find him cute. When I was looking and single, I wanted everything. This really describes a lot of girls. Could describe a lot of guys too. I wanted tall, good-looking, smart, funny. I was so specific, I even wanted curly hair. And while she got some, but not all of what she wanted, she's quick to point out that none of that has to do with happiness in marriage. Because dating is so different than marriage. When I was dating, two qualities never occurred to me as important that turned out to be critical in our marriage were selflessness and humility. A ton of times on a daily basis in marriage, you have to decide whether to maximize your happiness or the other person's. And my husband has proved so often to maximize my happiness. In courtship, we mistake romance for selflessness, but it's not the same thing. It's not. Romantic gestures like sending flowers aren't the same thing as waking up in the middle of the night and taking care of the screaming baby. So humility is key, she says. The ability to say it doesn't matter who's right or wrong. So I ask people, where on your list do you rank selflessness and humility? If you're rejecting a guy based on his age,
Sorry.
if you're rejecting a guy based on his age or his height. Okay, anyway, it's a great book. I really, really recommend it. It will just give you more clarity on not only what's important in a person, but how to narrow down probably the fact that you don't have to suffer from PSDD, perfect spouse delusional disorder. So many people are suffering from that we think we're going to get the perfect spouse. Okay, let's say, I got to tell you the 4 words every matchmaker hates to hear. She's not my look. You ever heard that, or is that only a New York expression? Not my type. Yeah, I think that's what we would say on the West Coast. She's not my look. I heard this from a guy in California. I set up 2 people in California, and they went out, and they were so compatible religiously, and they went hiking, and they got lost, and they managed to end the date with a smile, and they would share Divrei Torah. And then, like 6 dates into it, he calls me, and he says, I'm done. I said, okay, why? She's not my look. Okay, now you decide she's not your look. Then he sends me a picture of an old girlfriend. Can you find me a girl who looks like this? Okay, so he rejected the old girlfriend, and he met a girl that he liked. Now, if I could only find him a girl that had the middos he liked and looked like the old girlfriend, okay, then we have our Mr. Potato Head, and he'll marry her. Okay, I'm just saying. The problem is there's this concept in Judaism, just like you had never heard of being Shomer Negia. I had never heard of Shomer Einayim. That's called guarding your eyes. So there's this concept in Judaism that men are like not supposed to be looking at all the beautiful women in the street. I mean, there's even rabbis in Israel who walk around, like they're looking down. They're not looking around. They're not looking around because they're guarding their eyes. And what's happened with the media, with everywhere you look, there's beautiful women. And you look in magazines and they're all airbrushed. Really, they don't look like that in person. There's very few women who are gorgeous. Really, what we all perceive as gorgeous because we grew up on TV and we grew up on magazines. So we all want a 10, even if we're not a 10. It's just in our psyche that we expect people to look beautiful. And women are almost just as picky as men. We all want a 10. So I never got Shomer Einayim until I became a matchmaker and heard those words, she's not my look. Like, there's more important things. People can become beautiful if you give them a chance and you go out 2 or 3 times. And then you start seeing the beauty in them, and then all of a sudden they become more attractive. Yeah.
So, based on what you're saying, and a interview I heard with one of the Gedolim about the importance or lack of importance of having a picture on one's profile. They were saying not to have one.
Okay.
And it sounds almost like you're saying that, but yet on our resumes, it's like send a picture.
Okay.
And it goes on there.
Right. So in our generation, the people I deal with, everybody wants a picture. The girls want a picture, the guys want a picture. It's just the group that I deal with, and I understand that. And I encourage the girls, especially everyone, to get their best picture. In fact, last year, Drew took a picture of a guy at our event, and that picture went on his Shidduch resume. And he got his call with that Shidduch resume and that picture. Good job, Drew. Thank you. So did you bring your camera this year? Okay, anybody who wants a good Shidduch picture? Drew's here. Okay, so I do believe in pictures because we have to, and I think you should get your best picture. I don't like sending out a Shidduch profile without the best possible picture because the guys look at the picture and then they'll read the resume. It's just the way it is. Maybe in more religious circles, they can get away without the picture, but it's infiltrated. Okay, so let's say you have an app, okay? You have an app, and you've got your top 10 list on this app. What kind of things would be on your app that you're going to judge your date by?
Conversation.
Okay, conversation, you can connect. Communication skills. What else?
Background?
Background. Want a similar background? What else?
So either he's the waiter or the waitress.
Okay. His kindness level, let's say. Yeah, that's what you're always looking for on the date, is how he's treating everybody else.
Listening.
Listening. Okay. What else?
Sense of humor.
Sense of humor. Great. What else?
Intelligence.
Intelligence. Okay. Politics. No, I'm just kidding. It's not a joke. I had one shut-off breakup already because they weren't too far along, but she was like, we have to re-elect Hillary, like after the election. So, the guy just had to break up with her because like that was her whole being, So, yeah, politics. What about financial responsibility? What about values? What about Jewish level? I mean, you can get your top 10 pretty quick. So we've got Jack and Jill. Jill's on a date. She's at Starbucks under the table. She's like hitting all 10 things on the app. Wow, this guy's a 10 out of 10. Jack's sitting at the table, and he's got his app, and she's a 10 out of 10. Do you think those people are going to go out again?
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Okay, they go on a second date, still a 10 out of 10. Third date, 10 out of 10. Do you think they're going to get married? And they're clicking. Yes, they probably are. They probably are. You can have somebody who's a 10 out of 10, and are those people going to live happily ever after? Maybe, good answer. Are they going to live happily ever after? You hope so. So let me ask you a question. Are you the same person you were 2 years ago?
No.
Definitely not. Are you going to be the same person in 2 years?
Hopefully I grow.
Hopefully you grow. In fact, growing should be one of the things on your top 10. Because the last thing you want is somebody who's arrogant, thinks they know it all, is not willing to grow. That's the number one thing you don't look for in a person, is that they're arrogant. Because you can't deal with somebody who's arrogant. Okay, so you're going to be a different person in 2 years. And guess what? So is your spouse. They're not going to be the same person either. So there's no so you're really marrying a person at a moment in time when we think we're going to live happily ever after, but we're both going to change. So we're going to have children. And then what's going to happen? Oh, we've got something that we were raised different ways, and we might have some conflict about it. Then you might have twins. And then, okay, I want to raise this one this way, and the other one has a different personality. I want to raise it this way. And your husband says, no, we're going to raise them the same way. Okay, I don't have to tell you. There are so many potential landmines and conflicts that come up in marriage. That's why we say having a relationship is hard. So, what is the key? What is the key? The key in marriage, when conflicts arise, which you will have every single day. One is, I think it is a great idea to get some premarital advice, to go through a course, to do something kind of to prepare you. In fact, there's a book, it's listed in here in Marry Him, on actually the financial aspect of getting married and how you're going to spend your money. Because what's the number one reason people break up? I heard is money. Money problems. So the things that will kill your marriage are the ABCDEs. Accuse. You did it. Blame. It's all your fault. See, compare. Why can't you be like my girlfriend's husband? Complain. Oh God, everybody loves the complainer. Do you know that 70% of people's speech is complaining? It's so much fun to be with someone who's complaining. I mean, think of who you'd like to be married to. Okay, so we've got accuse, blame, complain, compare, deny, I didn't do it, or make E as excuses. In fact, there's another book I want to tell you about. I love books. And it just came out last year. It's called The Power to Give In, Stories About Being Mavater. So I was trying to figure out, what's mavater? Have you ever heard this, like, go weiter? Like, being mavater. Is this a mitzvah? It means to kind of give in, to acquiesce. But not like, okay, we'll go on vacation where you want to go, but I'm not really happy about it. No, you'll say, okay, let's go there this year. But you become happy about it. See, I was raised with the principle. Like, it's the principle of the thing. Were you raised like that? Like, I'm going to fight for what's right. I don't care if it makes a fight. Were any of you, like, raised with that concept? Like, it's the principle of the thing? Well, being mavater is you don't care about the principle of the thing. You care about what God really wants, which is shalom. Shalom in your marriage. And that's what's going to get you really far in being married happily ever after. And that's what choosing love is all about, is being connected. I'm not saying you have to give in all the time, but Rav Shach, when he got married, his wife was dying in 1969, and she was telling stories to the Bachram, the boys who would come and visit her. And they asked her, how did you have such a peaceful home? And she said, when we got married, my father-in-law said we should take turns being mavater. So the first time we had a fight, my husband was mavater. And they said, and you were mavater the next time? She says, no. He was mavater every time. Boy, what a guy to be married to. Okay. So, can you change somebody else? A lot of you in this room are divorced. Can you change somebody else? No, never, never, never. The only person you can change is yourself. So the Jewish people are compared to olives, right? When you squeeze them, the good stuff comes out. And what makes good olive oil? The maturity of the olive. So the more mature we are and the more we work on ourselves, the better the stuff can come out of us so that we're not accusing, blaming, complaining, comparing, denying, and making excuses. If we focus on ourselves, we can keep our marriage together. And that's my goal, not just to get you married, but to get you married to somebody who's going to be your equal in growing and in working on yourself, because that's what makes a great marriage, is how much can you give to the other person. I want to say something about that for our guys here in Seattle. Okay? No, I'm not going to say that. Never mind. So the real key in happily ever after is not our differences, but it's how we handle our differences, because you're always going to have differences in marriage. It's not the differences that make people get divorced. It's how they handle them. And I hate to see any marriage break up till they've really tried to handle their differences. Enough said about that. Okay. Any questions? Anybody want to challenge me on the concept so far?
I have a question. There are times when you have a disagreement that can feel as if it's really a fundamental difference in values. So, is there any way of recognizing when you are disagreeing in something that actually matters, and it really is a sign that this person has a different values that you do, versus a situation where I'm just being stubborn?
It's a great question. So, I was just listening to a dating workshop that you referred me to. They say the first thing to ask is, will this matter? They call it the 10 rule. Will it matter in 10 hours? Will it matter in 10 weeks? Will it matter in 10 years? You know, we get so stuck in the emotion of the moment. Mm-hmm. So that's like a question to ask yourself. And that's why I think the most important thing is to match your values before you get married. That's a great question. Thank you. Okay, we're going to switch back to dating. We're going to talk about the first date. What's the first date supposed to be like?
Fun.
Thank you. Fun. It's not the time to bring your list out and ask all the questions, you know. It's just to have fun. Really, the purpose of the first date is to get the second date. Just to have a good enough time, see if you can, enjoy somebody, and if they're not repulsive, looks-wise, give them a chance. I think that's the biggest thing I want to, give over tonight is give people a chance. Give people a chance. Too many people, especially when you marry him and you're just going to be shaking your head. I can't believe she didn't go out with him because of A, B, and C. She liked A, B, C, and D, and E. They thought there's one story in here of this guy who lived with this woman or dated her for 5 years, and then he wouldn't marry her because he thought her hands were too big.
Sounds like a Seinfeld episode.
Huh?
I said it sounds like a Seinfeld episode.
Okay. So, have you ever had a really boring first date? Okay. So, you should try to make every first date, even if you know you're not going to marry the person, try and make it fun anyway, even though you don't want them to call you back. But, put yourself into it. Practice having a date. And what's the most important thing you can do? What kind of questions do you ask to really get to know somebody? Do you know what they're called?
Open-ended.
Thank you. Open-ended questions. What's an open-ended question like? So, you were born in New York. Yes. That's an exciting question. So what was it like growing up in the Bronx? Ask questions that tell a story and you'll get to know somebody. Open-ended questions are the keys. It also works at your Shabbos table. You want to have good conversation at your Shabbos table? Ask open-ended questions. And if you don't know what they are, go to the internet, find them, practice them. Also on the first date, you want to have your story ready. Let's say you're divorced. Okay, you got to have your story ready. And you don't want to talk about your divorce on the first date or the second date. Or you don't want any baggage coming out till you have some kind of emotional connection. I set up 2 people in LA, and he tells her on the first date, oh, by the way, I have diabetes. Okay, it doesn't sound like it would be a terrible thing to say on the first date, but she had just gone through years with her mother suffering from diabetes, and she just could not handle that. She just couldn't get past that. She couldn't go out with him again because he shared that. Now, had she shared it after they had an emotional connection, and he had shown enough good points up until that time, it might have worked out.
Well, maybe not diabetes, maybe something that you may find to be not that big of a deal. Wouldn't you think that's a little bit kind of hiding what the real person is?
Okay, give me an example.
I don't know. You said diabetes. Let's stick with that.
Okay, diabetes. I don't think if it's under control, I don't think it's a big deal. Personally.
But do you think trying to hide that for several dates is, not that it should come out naturally or anything like that, but do you think that's appropriate? It may not be diabetes, because diabetes, I agree, is probably not.
So someone give me an example. Let's say you had a messy divorce, okay? It was really messy.
Or an alcoholic, yeah, here's a good example. I'm an alcoholic,
Okay.
recovering alcoholic.
Okay. So if I'd say I wouldn't bring that up on the first date.
But is that something, though, that the Shadchan or Shadchanit should know about each person? If
Yeah, your Shadchan should know.
She
And
has that
right.
history of alcoholic abuse in her family, and he's a recovering alcoholic.
Right. So I would suggest somebody like a recovering alcoholic not date till he's been sober for a year or something. You know what I'm saying? So you can.
A recovering alcoholic's allowed to date someone, but specifically trying to not disclose that for some time until you rope them in with your emotional connection.
Let's say.
Let me hide what you may find important early on. Now that you know me a little bit.
I don't know.
Like, I'll give you an example.
Okay, give me an example.
I just to get a little personal, I don't know anyone here really, but I dated a girl with some background mentally that was not disclosed. I had no idea. It only comes out not even on the third date, later, because it takes the emotional. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't come out until you get to that
when
point,
you,
and it's kind of like, what do you do?
So when you heard about it, what can I ask? What happened?
It's like realizing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one ever told me. It's not something that was ever.
So that is the best example, really. Mental illness is a great example. So that is something you ask your rabbi, and maybe in conjunction with a Shadchan who knows about these things, and you decide when it should be disclosed. And it should not be disclosed after the engagement ring.
Also, I would hope that the girl, when she's filling out her resume or whatever, or speaking to her rabbi or rebbitzin, that she's being honest and that it's out there. I mean, the point is to avoid, I mean, there's always going to be, you can't predict anything, but you're trying to avoid as much as you can.
Just on the whole, doesn't it seem like transparency is a better thing than
Transparency is a wonderful thing, but there's different degrees of mental illness, right? Okay, there are.
I mean, mental illness is just one thing.
Just one thing.
Financial issue, whatever.
Right. Well, the guy, Marc Katz, the serial dater who had 300 dates, who just got married, who did get married, he said that his wife was $60,000 in debt. Had he known that in the first, second, and third dates, he wouldn't have married her.
Okay. I mean,
so
he would have married
I
one of the
think.
Other 300, but
So
people would rather know that. Yeah. It's not a killer if you have a good connection.
Right.
It feels like you're
So,
fighting it.
okay, so I have a guy with a very difficult background, okay? Difficult background. And so when I try to set him up, I tell the girl the whole story first. Because it's so difficult. It's not the kind of thing you want to spring on the 5th date, okay? So I'd say everything's different. Every situation is different, and if you have a Rav, it'd be great to ask for guidance, because there are rabbis who will help you figure out when to tell. But I don't think you have to show everything on the first date. It's usually, some people would never get married that way. How long do you date somebody? Rabbi Akiva Tat says, till you can predict how they're going to act in any given situation. Because if there's no new information coming in, you're dating, you know them. Do you have to date a year? Do you have to date 2 years? Do you know them? I really think it does take a minimum of 3 months, personally, but Chabad, if you get married what we call young and dumb, then it's so much easier. But Chabad, they have this really interesting way of dating. They do a lot of long distance dating, right? They have so much in common before they start. A lot of them are so much on the same level that it can take 5-6 dates and then get engaged. And mazel tov. I'm setting up my first Chabad couple. I was educated by the mother of the guy who I'm setting up, and she told me this is how they do it. They don't call first. The guy gets on a plane and goes to the girl. And they date one day, they skip a day, and then they date again. And then they date the third day. But, you need time to process. Sometimes when you come in from out of town and you go on an 8-hour date, whoa, that's too much for somebody. So usually when you come out from out of town, you still do a 3-hour date. I had a guy just go down to California, and he went out from 4:45 p.m. to 1:15 a.m. I said, whoa, I thought the girl told me she needed to be home by midnight because she had to go to school the next day. Well, she was having a good time. Every case is different. But I hear you, Isaac, and I also would love to know everything up front. But I'm not sure that we'd get to the chuppah if we told everything up front.
Not everything, the most important people.
Yeah, the balance is what's important to me and what's important to her could be two different animals.
You know what she said, the advice of the rabbi, when you don't get any new information, that's when you know you can stop dating and make a decision. Well, you don't need to know everything, I agree, but you might want to know the most important things. There's no new information.
But again, how would the woman know what's important to you?
I think if you ask 99 out of 100 people in a room, 99, maybe all 100 would want to know certain things up front. If it's one of those, then that's what you should know.
So
that's how I feel. I mean, maybe someone disagrees and I'm fine with that. But
I'll make sure if I set you up, Isaac, that everything I know,
No,
you know
it's-
everything. No, I hear you, and I want to know everything too. I do too, but you know, there's rabbis who have much more experience than me. And they're the ones who said, you don't have to tell certain things until the third date, the fourth date. Because let's say she has a mental illness and she's totally under control and she takes her meds. And it's not going to affect children, whatever. Or maybe she's in therapy. You know, some people go off their meds so that they can date and be able to say, I'm not taking any meds. And that's bad because they're hurting themselves when they need those. But they don't want to lie, so they go off it, and that's not helpful.
That's manipulative, though.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, I would have a difficult time with
So
something
there's
like
such a thing on Shidduch resumes called references. And let me tell you about references. So you call the people, and what are you going to hear? You've got 3-4 references, and what are you going to hear?
Probably
All the
great.
good stuff.
All the good stuff. So there are people in the Shidduch world who call what we call off the resume. So, oh, you're in Seattle? Will you tell me about so-and-so? Do you know so-and-so? So people call other people in the neighborhood to find out about people. Okay, so there's stories that someone could not get a Shidduch. And they kept calling somebody on the resume, and they'd hear bad things. In fact, there was a woman, a friend, who was sabotaging her friends getting married. And what happened, once the friend, first of all, they found out about this eventually. They figured it out. But there was another one who the neighbor would say not nice things about the family. So how did she get her Shidduch? That family was out of town. And the people never called that reference. And that was the one that she married. Crazy, crazy stuff. Okay. If you've never gone out on a date or you're not a good dater, go out on a fake date. If you really have no experience dating, go with your sister, go with your mother, go with your rebbitzin, go with somebody and try to make open-ended questions and conversation and go to Starbucks and practice your story and practice dating. I have some girls who have never dated. And I told them to do this. They didn't do it, but now I'm going to insist because they went out with a guy. They didn't say anything. And the guy didn't want to go out again. So you need, it's skills. It's skills. But the crazy thing, the difference between dating and marriage is what are you doing? You're going out and you're having a good time every time. Or you're sitting and talking. Or you're doing something that gives good vibes. And then what is marriage? Okay, who's taking out the garbage? Who's paying the bills? You know, it's just such a different life that you're transitioning into. So just because you're a good dater doesn't mean you're going to be a good spouse. I see I got off the topic, but okay, back to the first date. Oh, I want to say allow for nervousness, and the ideal is 3 dates. If you can make yourself have 3 dates. Laurie Palatnik says she never would have married her husband. She didn't like him till the 3rd date. In her circles, you had to go out 3 times. First date, second date, 3rd date, hey, this guy's really something, you know, probably lost the nervousness. So if you can get to 3 dates, give it a chance. And I have a rule, and I want everyone to take this home with you. If you want to get married, you have to have momentum. And what does momentum mean? 3 dates in 10 days. You go out once a week on the weekend, there's no momentum, there's no excitement. Every date becomes like the first date again. Doesn't work. Momentum is 3 dates in 10 days, then you make a decision, do I want to go forward or not? Make sense? Everyone's shaking their head. Love it. Remember it. Momentum, 3 dates in 10 days.
How do you propose that they're originally?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you can follow up. I call the first phone call is your first date. Okay? It's your first date. You're calling somebody in California and you put it, I say that you don't just, I hate when people do this. Hi, you want to talk now? Laurie gave me your number. No, you make it a date. So someone puts aside a half an hour of time so you can schmooze. But again, remember, Chabad doesn't do this. They get on a plane and they go. They don't, you know, for most of us, we're not going to do that. Even if we match on paper, we're not going to do that. So you make by either text or email, you make a time for the first date, okay? Then that's your first date. Your second date can be a Skype date, but you don't wait a week, okay? And then you Skype again maybe, or a phone call, but you do it all in 10 days. That makes sense? Yeah. So one of my guys, he really liked talking to her on the phone, and he just went and he jumped on a plane to go meet her. It was a happily ever after, too. Okay. Anything else about the first date? Okay. Do you want to talk about anything about what we've talked about so far? Okay. I think that's enough. Do you want to hear the 5 reasons it's a one and dump for a guy?
Yeah,
Or do you want to go to questions? Okay. So my son, who's dating in New York, he's 25 years old. He has this terminology. They call it a one and dump. Oh, such an ugly term, one and dump. The number one reason why men don't want to go out with women on a second date is because she is the boss lady. She's in fact, it happened to one of my she's very bossy. She goes out and says, okay, can we have the check now? Like, she's not even paying and she's asking for the check. She's in control. She wants to run things. She brags about what she does for a living, maybe. I mean, bragging, not just telling. I had a guy in New York, I said, California, I wanted to set him up with this girl who worked on both coasts. And he said, I already went out with her. What did she do? She told me how she works here and there, and, you know, like I'm such a big shot. Like, that's not what guys are interested. What are guys looking for? If you have a high-powered guy, is he looking for a high-powered girl?
Depends on the guy.
He thinks he is. He thinks he is a lot of times. But usually guys are looking for someone to come home to who's warm and soft and feminine and loving. And they're not looking for one-upsmanship. So number one is the boss lady. She's argumentative. She's, you know, the principal thing. And I'm right and you're wrong. And, oh, here's a cute one. So there was, they had a first date. They went back to the lady's apartment. They had popcorn. And the guy offered to load the dishwasher for her. Wow. Is that a keeper? Yes. My husband hasn't loaded the dishwasher since I was in the hospital having a baby, I think. I don't even think he did it then. So
Everything by hand?
he waits till I come home. No, he uses paper. No, my husband actually knows how to do laundry. And anyway, my husband does good things. Not complaining. So what does the lady do? Does she just say, thank you, that's so nice of you? No, she says, oh, you're doing it wrong. The big pot goes here. It's not what you do. You know, the guy's doing something. Let him do it. Let him do it his way. And that's really what screws up a lot of marriages, is the woman is always trying to get the guy to do it her way. I used to do that. But I learned. It's okay, you know, you don't have to control everything. The guy really knows what he's doing. Do you know how many women, maybe you can think of your own mothers, maybe you can think of your ex-wife, women tell men how to drive? Slow down, too fast, turn here, park there. Does it ring a bell for anybody? I mean, I was just with my parents we went to Las Vegas for 2 days. And my dad is sitting in the back seat because he's not really driving much anymore. And he's telling my mom where to park. Hello? She can't see the parking places, you know? Anyway, that's the boss lady. Let me go a little quicker. The blahs, the number 2 reason the guys don't call the girls. She's boring. She just agrees with him on everything. She just doesn't have anything to contribute to the conversation. In fact, that takes me to, somebody asked Rabbi Manis Friedman, she said, what can I do can I do anything to hurry up my bashert, my soulmate? And he said, I don't think so, besides praying, but you can work on yourself to be the best person you can be, to be more interesting, to have a life. So if you have a life, that you can share your life. So a woman who's got the blahs, she's not going to get called back. Okay? Bait and switch. Bait and switch is you put a picture online that's 10 years old, and the guy meets you, and he says, Okay, that's bait and switch. And there's other things to get bait and switch. The Park Avenue Princess. You're on a date, she breaks a nail, and she's just losing it, you know? Or she asks the guys questions about how much money he's making on the first date. Like, you know, oh, and what kind of sports do you do? Because she's trying to get an idea of his net worth. That's the Park Avenue Princess. The guys don't call her back. The Closer, okay? She's in interview mode. She's got her app not under the coffee table. She's got her app in her hand, and she's like, okay, so, you know, do you do this? Do you do that? Like, she's in interview mode, and she wants to have a baby next week. So she's trying to get, you know, she's trying to find out everything about the guy on the first date. That's why the first date should just be relaxed. Can we talk? Are the silences okay? Can we have fun together? Because the number one thing you want in a partner is someone you enjoy being with. I guess we could say the number one thing you want. We could say 10 different things, the number one thing. But you do want somebody that you can enjoy. So men on the whole are looking for somebody who can listen and they're not absorbed with themselves. Everybody wants someone to listen to them and get them. That's what chemistry is I listen to you so I get you. And the more I get you, the more connected I am with you. And the more I'm connected with you, the more I'm attracted to you. That's what the whole thing is. What are the woman's date breakers? The guy is a puppy dog. He's too eager to please. After the first date, he sends her an email telling her how beautiful she is and wonderful and let's get married next week. And just too nice. It's really unfortunate for women. And I know I was like that in my 20s too. I had guys who were so nice to me. Just turned me off. Why? Why are women in their 20s so stupid? Like the nicest guys in the world, they just not manly. I don't know what it is. What do we want? Some guy to be mean? To the nicest guys after me, and it's just the yuck factor. They're not well groomed or seriously overweight or talking garbage from their mouth, swearing. My son in New York told me he went out with girls in New York who like swore on the date, like they had ugly things coming out of their mouth. They're wearing skirts and they're swearing. Like he was not attracted to that. So when guys have to clean up their mouth a little sometimes on a date, like they're not with their buddies. The not so macho man, he offers to split the bill. Okay. You know, the woman might say on the first date, you want to split the bill? And the guy says, sure. You know, the woman, Mr. Big, he's just arrogant. The opposite of the puppy dog. He knows it all. His opinion's the only one that's important. We all know people like that. Dealing with rejection. Just want to say one word about that. Let's say the guy doesn't want to go out with you again, the girl doesn't want to go out with you again, and you get all depressed. So Rabbi Manis Friedman says, you don't have to tell the person. He says some women stop dating. The guy makes a date with the girl to break up with her. And she says, but why? And he tells her. He says, that's an animal. Who's going to tell her? That you can really hurt somebody by telling them why they're not enough for you. And they might stop dating for a year. Something to think about. Now, there's something called an exit interview. If you have a Shadchan, first of all, the Shadchan does the dirty work for you. What does the Shadchan do? You talk to them after the first date. Both people come back to the Shadchan and said, yes, I like them. I want to go out again. And I say, what did you like about them? Because the first thing they want to tell me is what they didn't like about them. You know, but I want to get the conversation started on a positive tone. Oh, yeah, I like this, I like that, I like that. They might even change their mind and want to go out again. So it's great having a Shadchan to come back to after the dates because the Shadchan can break up for you. But sometimes you're doing a favor if the Shadchan goes back to the guy. And tells the guy why the girl doesn't want to go out with him again. Like my son just went out with a girl, and he really liked her. He really wanted to go out again, and he has no idea why she doesn't want to go out with him again. Now, if there's something he could learn from it, he could not get it from the Shadchan. But he knows once. Sorry, Abraham. He knows once he just talked too much on the date. He was obviously nervous. He obviously liked the girl. He couldn't stop talking. That's why you give people a second chance, because people, when they're nervous, oh wow, she's so hot, I really like her, you give people a second chance. Okay, so dealing with rejection, there's this concept we call it mitziut hazivug. Am I saying it right? So what does it mean? Finding your zivug, searching for your zivug. It means finding. What is the difference between finding and searching? Finding means it's there. It's there. I don't know where it is. So if somebody rejects you, they're not your zivug. They're not your match. Do sometimes people not marry their match? They're bashert sometimes. A guy came to a holy rabbi in Israel, and he said, Rabbi, why? I've gone out with so many girls. Why aren't I married yet? Why haven't I met my zivug? And he says, you did meet your zivug. You thought her nose was too big.
What did you say, Laurie?
You thought her nose was too big.
That was just Esther Youngrice.
Yeah, Esther Youngrice has that story in her book too. It's a great story. I'm sure there's a few versions of it. Okay, so that's it for date breakers. I'd like to hear what you thought. Any questions or what you got out of tonight's talk before I sum it up. You're welcome. Bye. Okay, yes, go ahead.
So, there is a stereotype that if a woman wants to catch a guy, she has to leave part of herself out. That if she is strong and intelligent and successful, she has to set her brain aside and just be charming, because the guy wants somebody to come home to who's sweet and accepting and loving. So I don't want to believe that's true. But it seems to be how is somebody who is successful and is intelligent and wants to find a partner who values that, how do you make that connection without being the boss lady?
Okay. I think there's a lot of guys who do want a successful woman who's confident in herself. Because what's the most sexy thing? The most attractive thing in a person is they have confidence. People are attracted to confidence, to passion. I have a guy in New York who only wants a girl who's passionate about what she does, and he's in the computer field. He wanted somebody in the scientific field. I said, but what if a girl's passionate about wanting to be a mom? He said, oh, that's a good point. But there are plenty of guys looking for confident women. There really are. But I think, go ahead, Yoni.
I would just like to interject, because I have in the past dated confident women and less confident women.
Okay.
I think from a man's perspective, and I would hope it's on the other side as well, when I sit down at a date, what I'm hoping to hear from the person who's sitting across from me is how there may be a way that I can fit in their lives and vice versa. So if there's a confident story that's told in a way where all the loose ends are already tied up, there's no way for me to find my way into that life. Whether that's true or not, it's dependent on the delivery more than the degree of confidence or
Exactly.
success.
So it's, you want to be needed. A man wants to be needed.
And vice versa.
Absolutely. Right? And the woman has to show, I need you in my life. You can help me be a better person. We can grow together. Answer? Is that a good answer?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have a question or a comment? Tell me your highlight of tonight. One thing you learned that you're going to take away with you.
Choose your hard.
Choose your hard. Life is hard. Choose your hard. But the payoff is good. I tell you, people are lonely all over. I get so many calls, all ages. I had an 83-year-old guy call me from a assisted living facility in LA. People don't like to be alone at any age. They like companionship. And even if they've been divorced, they want to, they know that it's nice to be married. And too many people get divorced because 20% of their life stinks with their partner. But there's 80% that's good. And people think it's going to make their life better to get divorced. And then they forgot about the 80% that was going okay. And then they're still married because they got kids to raise. You know, it's you never get really divorced. Never really, if you have kids. So my bracha to you all is that you find your zivug and you make a good marriage and you're prepared for conflict and you're prepared for the fun and that you meet the right one and you don't think her nose is too big and you really live happily ever after, because every day you have the choice to be mavater or you have the choice to choose love, and you make good choices.
Amen.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.